All right, all right, all right. We all know what time it is. It is Sunday. It is Sunday. It is 7 p.m. What has become my most favorite day and time of the week, where we are bringing you yet again another episode of talking about how we can improve, build, and empower our lives. Where is the gap, guys? Let's make sure we are closing it. On today's episode, you see it, savings. Do people really need it? And what is really the big deal? Hey, everybody, you know who I am. At least I think you do. You are here on my Facebook page where we are sharing information on things that you can do to apply to your everyday life to enhance, build, and grow. Where we talk about things that maybe we don't always talk about, where we address so that we can gradually close the gap. Definitely closing the gap doesn't happen all in one day, but it happens when we start to set foot out to make changes and we start to pass on that good behavior to other people who come after us. So welcome, come on in. This is definitely your time to, like, most importantly, share a wealth of information with the people that you know, so it's not just you growing, but everybody else around you is growing too. Make sure you put on your seatbelts because I have an amazing guest that I am extremely excited to have on this show today. I'm going to tell you something. God is good and he puts amazing people in your life. And the person that we are bringing up is absolutely amazing, with an amazing heart that has a whole bunch of information that, trust me, you want to hear from. We are bringing up a very close friend of mine, a business partner, Tamika Spruill. She used to be in the U.S. Army, financial literacy advocate, and wealth builder. Tonight, she's going to take us through savings, budgeting, myths, and all of the things that fall in between. Again, we're going to bring her up, and let's give a very, very, very warm welcome to our special guest, Tamika. Hey, Tamika, and welcome to our episode today, episode 4, where we are talking about savings. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm extremely excited to have you on today.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be on your show today.
Okay, well, let's jump right in, right? Let's just start with an introduction. Tamika, tell us about you. Who is Tamika? Little background about you, little background about, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Tamika Spruill. I am actually from North Carolina. I reside here in Baltimore now. I am a retired Army veteran, served in the military for a little over 10 years, reserve as well as active duty. I wear many hats, but one hat I really love wearing is showing others how they can pretty much live a financially free life and reach their goal. And here for school, actually, for architecture and construction management. So.
Oh, that's a lot, girl. Sounds like you got that plate full. Well, thank you. And again, welcome to the show. So today we are really focusing on, and we're talking about savings. I know that you have a whole bunch of good stuff to say to talk about savings. But Tamika, I'll be honest, I know that I've read your testimony once before, where you've been down the journey of not saving, right? To the journey of saving and teaching people more. And so I would love to hear your testimony. Tell us, because I think that what's really important is that as people hear, they know that they're hearing from people who've been there or that's just like them. Share your testimony with us around savings. What's your money life like in the past?
All right. Oh my goodness. So, actually, my family has always taught me to save, how to save, all those good things, and pretty much never, spending more than what you make. And then also, pretty much you want to live well below your means, not just below your means, but well below your means. And so that was one of the things that I was always taught. And if you can't pay for it 3 times over, then you don't need it. And so I grew up like that. And so probably around when I joined the military at 17 years old, I had a sign-on bonus, and it was like $20,000. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to pay, expenses or whatever the case may be, and take the remainder and put it in a TSP, or what is equivalent to a 401k. So at an early age, that's exactly what I did. But I was stationed in Hawaii at the time. And, during that time, I didn't really have any bills. The only thing I had was a cell phone bill and maybe cable. And I really don't watch television, so I don't remember really having, cable. I think I turned it off or whatever the case may be. So a large chunk of my income, I thought, well, I have it, so I'm going to do whatever I want with it. And I was saving a little bit here and there, but not as much as I should have. And so I was a shopaholic. Like, when I tell you the true definition of a shopaholic, I began to shop, and it was beginning to, and I would spend hundreds of dollars every single month. But then it also increased to the point where I was starting to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars every single month, which I found, like, man, and life like I took a hit, and it was just, listen, you need to wake up, and you need to get back on track with your budget, and also with your savings. And so from there, by the time I was 25, I was like, wait a minute, I need to, I really need to check myself. And so I began to check myself and put myself on a budget, and to start saving. And this is what we can go in with the 5-30-20 rule. And I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that a little later, but that's the beginning. Okay. So that's the beginning of my thing, because I found myself going from spending $600 to $700 a month to spending anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 or more, and not understanding that's can be someone's actual gross income or net income. And here I am just blowing it away like it was nobody's business. And so I had to, a reality check. I had to, check myself a little bit on that.
So was this 20 to 30? Was this a month? Every few months?
Yeah,
like, what was the
every
frequency
few
of this?
months, whatever I liked. It was either, if I had the money and I knew I can, if it's something I really wanted, and I go out and I would actually purchase it. And, that was it. And I got to the point where I started to find things like, I purchased this motorcycle because I wanted it. And, I was like, I want this bike. And I never really believed putting anything on credit or anything like that, because I always was taught to be the lender and not the borrower. So my thing was, okay, if I have the money, I'm going to purchase it. And so I went out, purchased a bike, and then a month later it was stolen. And so when you talk about money going down the drain, you talk about, so I've had that happen to me several times. So you're talking about, yeah. And so it hit me to the point where, okay, Tamika, you really need to do something about it.
So did something happen at this reality check? Normally for some people there is a hit rock bottom, or so was there something to make you say, all right, girl, I got to do better? Or was it just your roots of coming back to it?
Well, it was kind of both. So, what happened was, I was really, that was around also kind of around the time my mom passed away, you know, in my early 20s, and I wasn't dealing with it the way I needed to. And so I think shopping and purchasing things that I really wanted became my outlet. And
Mm.
so it was more so than just, just me wanting to go out and purchase things. So it was an emotional thing. And so,
Uh,
yeah. And so what happened was I actually ran into a military vet, and he was homeless, and he was on the side of the road, and it was at a stoplight. And I normally, every year I will send out, I do packages every single year to the homeless. And so I gave him a package and gave him some encouraging words. But then he was telling me about his story and how he hit rock bottom, and that his wife passed, and he had pretty much everything. And then at that moment, everything was gone. And so that's when it really sunk into me, like, this can be you, Tamika. Like, this is something that you need to get yourself together. Yes, your mother may have passed away. Yes, things may not have been the way that you wanted it to go, but you really need to get, yourself in check. And so at that point, that's when I started really turning my life around. And, because I didn't want to end up and hitting rock bottom like that. And so that was my turning point.
okay. Okay. Well, I guess we all have our seasons, and the reality is from what you've shown or what you said is there's an opportunity to make a decision and turn it around
Mhm.
just like that. Just like that. You talked about being a shopaholic and buying a motorcycle, and you made reference to throwing money down a drain. Tell me, what does that mean, and and what's the big deal? Like, why can't I go buy what I want to buy?
It's not that you can't go and buy what you want to buy, but you want to have a safety net. That's the importance of it all, is to have a safety net. I don't know if you heard the term, you only live once, or YOLO. Like, you don't live once. You live every day. You die once. So the importance of it is that you want to make sure that while you're living, that you are actually surviving, and not just surviving, but also living comfortably. Like, that's the thing. There's 78% of people who are living paycheck to paycheck in America as of today. I'm pretty sure it has spiked. And so, do you want to continue to live paycheck to paycheck, or saving can help with that?
What's the dangers of living paycheck to paycheck?
Man, you're talking about things such as getting behind on bills. Credit may, begin to decrease, because now what I consider is a hamster wheel effect. It seems like you cannot get off of that wheel. And then also becoming in debt. And I guess we can talk about that a little later, as far as, your will and your trust and all those things. But when you're talking about that, getting in debt and having loved ones having to pay off that debt as well. So those are dangers. And just not being, who wants to live paycheck to paycheck and not having, don't have the funds to survive, pretty much. And so that was one thing I was like, I'm afraid to live paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, okay. So I definitely want to get into talking about the savings and budgeting. But before I do, I have another question that is, about you. I
Mhm.
know that you're out here, and it's not just wealth building for yourself, but it's wealth building helping other people.
Mhm.
It's not just financial literacy where Tamika understands finances, but it's helping the world. Why financial literacy? Why become a health builder? Why is this even important?
It's important, mainly because I know for myself, it's because it's deeper than just me. I don't want my children to have to go through and suffer because of my lack of understanding and repeating that cycle. Also, having to, it's so important because you do also want to, have a nest egg for not only yourself, but also your children. And so doing that, that's the most important thing, is to making sure that you can pay your bills, you can, live comfortably, and, not working, until you're 71 or ever how old, and continuing to do so. So I believe that's the reason why it's really important to, to learn financial literacy and to educate yourself on personal finances.
Okay. That's dope. I mean, it makes sense. And then you saw me jot down a note because it may be something that we circle back to later, but I definitely want to talk about, you were basically about to bust the door wide open and talk a little bit about generational wealth. But guess what? Generational wealth starts from saving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into talking about savings. Like, what is the big deal, right? I feel like I have those conversations and people are like, what's the big deal? So there's this general assumption that having a savings and that budgeting is designated for just wealthy people. Can you talk about that? Why do you think that the everyday person thinks that people who are wealthy have savings accounts?
I think it's because, first and foremost, because not really educated, aren't really educated on finances. And that's a big myth. Some people think that they don't have, or they'll say, well, once I begin to make more, then I can save more. Well, you want to start saving now, because I feel like managing money, like you want to have, to know how to manage that money that you have now, in order, when you start making more, you know how to manage it even better. And so that's one of the things. So I really think that's a problem, especially in our community. Just thinking that, well, I need to make more in order to save more, which is totally not true at all. If you can start off, you starting off small but thinking big. And the key thing is, even if it's just $20 a week, right? You want to put that aside, save that $20 a week, and progress to maybe $40 a week, or wherever the case may be, and learning those things.
Okay. It makes perfect sense, right? We start out small to get to a greater goal, ultimately opening up the doors to do some greater things.
Mm-hmm.
You may have touched on this, but I'll have you talk about this a little bit more with this next question of savings and budgeting. Outside of us not being educated about it, it seems like a taboo subject, right? It's not something that we talk about. Why is it important that we talk about it and that we change the way we look at having these conversations?
It's important for us to talk about it, for one, because I think I can only tell you about me, right? So it was more so, I know for me, finances was like, oh my God, I don't go there. But then once I started to really talk about it, because a lot of people think it's a scary topic, their fear of finances, but it's all about, and I think we should go there, because educating our youth, for they, again, won't repeat the same cycle that we've repeated, and they can make better financial decisions throughout life.
You know what? I feel like we have jumped all over it, and I just want to get down to it. I want to talk about it because we've talked about that nest egg. We've talked about generational wealth, and you just said it. If we start to talk about finances, then it becomes a conversation of of those who come behind us. This is going to be a two-part question, right? It comes to me. This is a two-part question. So we're talking about savings. Let's talk about savings. Number one, how it impacts the individual, my life right now. And then savings number two, how it does impact what we refer to as, generational wealth.
Oh, I think you were breaking up a little bit earlier. Can you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. So, two-part question.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to talk about savings. How does savings impact me, the individual, today, tomorrow? But then two, how does savings impact the future, the generational wealth?
All right. So as of right now, if we're impacting you, by saving, you you can really, get the things that you desire. Not only that, but in the event of an emergency, right? So, say for instance, even during this COVID, right? We weren't expecting this at all. We were probably expecting, I know I was expecting it to like 2 weeks and go away, or whatever the case may be. But the thing is that it can impact you greatly by saving, because people are laid off from their jobs, all those different things, and then you want to have a savings goal or savings at least 3 to 6 months worth of essential expenses saved up. If you don't have that, then you're at a greater risk than someone who has 3 to 6 months worth of savings. Also with generational wealth. This is something my grandparents has always taught us about, having generational wealth, passing that on to your children, and having them not to, having to go throughout life, having to work for 40 plus years for that as well. So I think it's very important that we not only save for now, but also for the next generation.
Okay. It brings a couple questions to me, right? So we're talking about someone who, I'm not a big saver. And you're saying, Tamika, I should start saving small. I can save $20 a week. How does that for me translate into, I don't see how that can turn into generational wealth.
Well, first and foremost, you want to start small, right? That may not turn into generational wealth. Like again, I was going to go back to the 50-30-20 rule, right? They say, you spend 50% of your essentials, right? And then 30% of your non-essentials, and then 20% goes towards savings, right? And then also, if a person at the age of 30 right now, that they say at least save 25 times your income, annual income. So by the time a person at the age of 30, by the time that they turn actually 71, they will have saved well over $1 million+. So it's just, at least that 20% may not seem like a lot, but when you're talking about over a 41-year period, then of course you're talking about, wealth. So
you're basically saying, think bigger.
Think bigger. Think bigger.
That's the goal. Bigger.
Like even if it's I think about the average right now is like $200 a month. Some people may not have $200 a month. But if whatever your 20% out of your income, and you want to at least have that. So if you can save 20%, that's 25 times, because that's 25 times of your income. That's the goal. So think bigger. You want to think bigger.
Okay. There's definitely going to be a question where we come back to that, because I want us to talk about budgeting savings, but Definitely sounds like we should talk a little bit about how we can make our money grow, but we'll stick a pin in that. So Tamika, we've talked about savings. We've talked about most people thinking, I don't even really need a savings account. Can you talk us through what are maybe some things or some myths that we know about or that we hear about budgeting and about savings?
One of them, I don't have time to budget. You do have time to budget. If you have time to get up in the morning, you have time to budget. If you have time to, brush your hair or your teeth, you have time to budget. One of the things that I have learned with the budgeting tool is if you can put together, and this is something that I've used, a budgeting system, because that was one of the excuses I actually made. I don't have time to budget. But what I did was the envelope system, utilizing that, keeping track of my money because I would swipe my card all the time. And so that was one of my ways, was making sure, keeping that envelope system, writing each item and what that money was going towards. So creating that budget so you have time to budget. And then also knowing where your money. So once you know where your money is going, you know how much you can be able to save. Another one, it's too complicated. Well, why is it too complicated? Oh, because it deals with a lot of math. No, it doesn't. No, it don't. You know what I mean? And so you hear those things. You hear stuff like it's boring, finances is boring. Well, money must be boring to you then. So it's all about, if you want to have that. So those are three things that you hear as far as that, and budgeting, and saving, such as unexpected expenses. Like, everybody's going to have unexpected expenses. So that's one of the things that is also a myth, or that you hear. Well, I don't need to save because I'm always going to have an unexpected expense. That's the purpose of saving, just in case there's an unexpected expense where you're not able to pay that. If, again, because 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
So would you say that budgeting and savings really go hand in hand with each other?
Yes, they do. They very well do. Because again, budgeting can lead to saving more. So once you know where your things are going, then you are able to save more. Again, like myself, I was spending at least $20 a day just on lunch alone. That's just going out to lunch. Yeah. That's just going out to lunch, right? You're not really thinking about it. You're just like, whatever. And that's exactly what I was doing. And then once I wrote everything down on paper, or at least in an Excel document, I noticed where all of my money was going. It was going towards food. So if I'm eating out every single day, spending $20 every day on lunch, times that by 30, you're talking about anywhere between $400 to $600 in an entire month. That's money where I actually cut down that spending to at least $80 a month, and therefore saving well over $520. All right. So that's the key to budgeting. Helps towards savings. And also those subscriptions, right? We get those things where, like Netflix, Hulu accounts, we get those apps that, yes, I those gym memberships that you never go to. Hello, somebody. Like, that was me. That was me. And I was spending so much money on things, and it was to that problem, and it started to add up. It started to add up so much that I was spending anywhere I was actually spending well over $200 on just $200 to $300 on just things of that nature. Yeah, don't ask me how. It was coming out of my account every single month. And so I found out that, like, I got to, once you start create that budget, then you know where your money is going and how much you can be saving. So that whole myth of I don't have time to budget and, I don't make enough, or I don't have time to save or budget and I don't make enough to save, you do. Okay? You do. Even if, so live well below your means. It's okay. You have to determine what is your wants versus your needs. So is your needs more important than your wants? Pretty sure there are.
So in transparency, I think that as you were talking, right, and you're talking about the buying the lunch, guilty. I'm guilty of the Uber Eats and the Grubhub and the hi, my name's Sharonda. I'm single and I overdo that stuff. The monthly things that automatically come out, not as bad as you. I am about $108. I did the math the other day and I was like, I want my $108. This is $108 a month, right? But as you're talking about these things and you're telling us about how we can budget, in transparency, it sounds like you're telling me that budgeting and savings means that I can't live my life.
No, you can most definitely live your life. All right. You can have fun. You can go out, but have fun. You can have fun on a budget, right? You can most definitely have fun on a budget. Now that's exactly what I do. Like, if I can find a place that's just for free, I'm going. You know what I mean? Like, you can have fun on a budget, whether that's, going to the beach or anything like that. It's summertime. Be outside, enjoy that. And where you don't really have to spend that much, but set a realistic goal, set a realistic budget. So if you know that you're the type of person that spends maybe $300-$400 every single month on entertainment or whatever, set that for yourself if that's it. But the thing is, understand what do you want to save and how much you want to save. So that's also important. But you can most definitely have fun on a budget. I was the one. I thought that, man, I can't have fun on a budget. But once I start budgeting myself, it's like, wow, I can most definitely have fun on a budget. Because again, I was the one who's always splurging and doing unnecessary things because I thought it was, I had it and it was it. But you can most definitely have fun on a budget.
So it sounds like you're saying to me, if I spend $300-$400 on entertainment a month, like, okay, you can probably cut back on that, but I can probably still go out to the places I like. But if I go to the places I like, I probably blew my budget into one place. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanna make sure I understand and that we're in the same place, because I just think that, when we talk about savings, so one of the reasons why I put this together today was I was involved in a conversation with someone, true story. And she was like, savings? Nobody does that. And so it was important that we talk about savings and what that means, right? So Tamika, with that being said, and we're talking about savings and what that means. So Tamika has moved from frivolous spending and she ain't just going to go buy no more motorcycles, and she has a plan for her money and she is saving. What has been some of the benefits of your life budgeting and savings? How has things truly changed for you? Even if that means you're talking about your future.
I will say I put myself on a strict budget. But I know my goal. I know what I want out of life and where I want to be. And so my goal is more important to me than my wants at this specific time. And so I can still go out, I can still have fun, but I realize my goal is so more important. And keeping that goal and maintaining, even the lifestyle I have now. Like I have freedom. I can go out and, shop what I want to do and travel as much as I want. But again, my end goal means way more to me than any other thing, because I've already done all that stuff. I've already, spent crazy amount of money, and finding myself in a situation where it's just like I don't want to be put back in a situation like that again. And I was finding things. I don't even think I mentioned it, but shopping to me was something that really happened, that really checked me too, is when I was starting to find things that 3 and 4 times out of the year, I would clean out my closet. And I seen tags on tags of stuff that I never wore. And so I would give those things away, and then come to find out having those things on a yard sale. So when I started to see that, it's like, wait a minute, my goal is way more important than the amount of money that I'm spending at the moment, because this is only temporary. So my goal right now is the most important thing to me.
Okay. You've said something. You haven't really revealed your goal, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But you've said something. You said, I live freely, mm-hmm. and I'm able to travel when I want. Mm-hmm. And I was, kind of hitting on that to hear how you saving allows you to do that. What does it mean to live freely, and how can you travel when you want? Traveling is expensive.
It is. It's expensive. But I'm doing that because, for one, thank God to the military, but two, because of, living on a budget, saving, and making sure, because that's the end goal, right? Like to live a financially free life where you can do the things that you desire to do. So that's why I was saying, like, as temporarily, I'm okay with not doing, buying extravagant things and all that stuff, for me to do the things that I truly want to do. So, that all entails of, creating that budget, having a savings for you can, and making your money work for you versus you working for the money. That's the key. And that is one thing that I wasn't really valuing a dollar. But once I knew, what money can do and where money can take me, then it turned my thinking around. And so I have the opportunity where I can just do and go wherever I want to go and do whatever I want to do.
Cool beans. So savings means I can afford a vacation when I want to go. So I can take money out of the savings account. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So create a savings for vacations, create a savings for emergency funds, whatever you desire. If it's a savings that you want to purchase a car, save up for a vehicle, whatever that is. Those are the things you can save up for. Any of those things.
I don't know if she's still on, and I wasn't gonna have you talk about this, but I want to. Mm-hmm. So we have somebody in the comments who says, when it rains, it pours. Let's talk about that, Tamika. Let's talk about savings and how when it rains, it pours doesn't have to feel the same way.
That's good. I can most definitely relate to that. When it rains, it pours. Because before I can take it even further back, when it seems like you just can't get ahead, when it seems like, unexpected expenses happen, and then again, you're on that hamster wheel and you can't get off. But the key to it is that, again, I can only go back to once you learn how to manage money. It, that's the key to it all, is learning how to really manage it. Um, so when it rains, it pours. That is, I can truly attest to that, because and that's how I knew that I needed to save. Because again, you can, saving up for those rainy days. Again, going back to having 3 to 6 months of expenses, or savings of expenses. You want that. And again, I can only go back to starting off small, right? Managing the smaller amounts, and until you learn how, once you learn how to master that, and then move on to, creating those, bigger, increasing that amount.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. That's really good. It's 7:41, and we only have a couple minutes. There's still tons of questions to ask, but I want to be respectful of your time. But there's definitely something that we have to talk about. As before we transition and wrap up the show. You've talked about the formula of saving, right? This is the formula for someone to stop living paycheck to paycheck. You said go through what that everyday formula is one more time, and maybe break down for us what exactly are those three categories. How should I be spending my paycheck?
Okay, so this is a formula. I I really, it's the 50/30/20 rule. Okay, so 50% of it going towards your essentials, whether that, your rent or mortgage, um, your food, things like that. Okay, then 30% of that is going towards your non-essentials. So anything outside of, again, your essentials. And then 20% of that is going towards a savings. Now you can break that 20% down. I've seen that, where people have broken it down, where they'll 10% of that 20%, 10% of that is actually going towards giving, right? And then the other 10 going into a savings. So that's the basis of it. You can increase that if you like. So I know for me, the 50% part, I try to actually live off, or my essentials, less than the 50%. And then, my savings more than the 20%. So adjust it. I always tell people, adjust it, how you would like. It's not really a set thing, but I would say adjust it how well it works for you.
Okay. Okay. I mean that makes sense. And if we're having 30%, you said, of non-essentials, or some people call it discretionary, that's 30%. That means this is where you can do the things that you like. Just make sure you stay within it, right? Cool. You know what? This is really, really, really good information. We got people in the chat who agree. Certainly, certainly grateful to have you on the show and just share with us just how important savings are, because we do look at savings and we think, you know how much money I make? I'm not saving nothing. Before we wrap, this is where I would like to give you the opportunity. Are there any pointers or feedback or anything that you would like to leave for our guests? We're going to have to bring you back on, because we did not get a chance to talk about will and trust, which I know you love to talk about. But is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with tonight?
I would just want to leave with the audience, just do it, right? Do it. Even if it's at the smallest amount, even, we have 4 weeks out of, 30 days out of a month, right? Even if it's just saving $5 a day, do it. Take little steps. This is just like, you want to crawl before you walk, right? So the first thing, it's taking those steps, making sure, again, having a plan, having a short-term goal first before you have those long-term goals. So your short-term goals, you want to, take those smaller steps and just start saving. Again, creating that budget to figure out how much money that you could be saving, where all your money is gone, because let me tell you, you will be surprised about how much money you're literally, maybe losing out on. So making sure that you're setting a budget for yourself, and then also taking those short steps into savings, whether that is $20 a week. So that's, and letting people know you can do it. So you can most definitely do it.
All right. Thank you so very much. Again, we are very grateful. If you hang out in the studio, back office, or back room, I'm thinking work, I will be right with you. I definitely want to thank you for being out. This is some great information that, boy, oh boy, what could I say? I've become much more knowledgeable on the topic as we understand just how this thing all works. Guys, thank you so very much for joining us on tonight. I say it each and every week, the goal of every guest that we bring here is to give you information that you can apply to your everyday life. The reason why this particular episode for me was so compassionate is because I really did have a conversation with someone who basically said to me, no one saves. So if you're someone who's out there watching and you were that person, this is not something that is bad. This is something to draw attention to what we don't understand. I heard a saying recently, and the saying basically says that your money has a name. Your money is assigned to things, right? This dollar bill is assigned to mortgage. This one's assigned to bills. Your money has a name. And when you don't give it an assignment or a place to go, you lose track of it. So where it seems like there's no room for you to save, there's tons of room for you to save if you look at where you're wasting money. Tamika gave you an amazing example of us eating out every day. Look at how much money you could have had in your savings account. Savings and budgeting doesn't mean broke, but it actually means control for you to live the lifestyle that she talked about, right? Being able to travel when you want. We don't have to just survive. We can thrive. And it happens in us saving. I'm not going to make this more about me because that interview is definitely a wrap, and she definitely shared some amazing, amazing things with us on tonight. Something that is definitely part 2. So we can really dive deep into savings so that we can close the gap. We have to put money aside. We talk about when it rains, it pours, but the reality is another thing. And I just heard this a few moments ago. A young lady said, we have things that happen to us, and those things can be either 1, a situation, or 2, a circumstance, right? A situation means this emergency happens because it does rain, but because you have savings, you're able to take care of that thing. But without savings, the emergencies that happen become circumstance. They become life altering. They become a big deal when they don't have to be. When it rains, it pours doesn't have to be when it rains, the house floods. But because I have savings, this is just something that happened, and I have a backup plan to help me out. Thank you guys so very much for attending. Being on this live today, I appreciate each and every one of you more than you know. You know that saving and building for a future is important, even if you're someone that's not doing it. Share the information with other people so that we can all be empowered together. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, share this to your page. We are here each and every single week. Same bat time, same bat channel, delivering you greatness that all you have to do is take the nuggets and apply it to your life. As we wrap, guys, I'm going to tell you, God bless you. I pray that there was information that was there for you tonight. Reach out if you have questions, because to everything, there is a solution and we just need help getting there. Thank you all so very much again. Don't forget to check me out on each platform. You're obviously here on Facebook, but I am on Instagram, and these lives are also streamed live on YouTube as well. Let's grow big together. Thank you for watching as we build to empower, inspire, and grow with each other each and every single week. You guys have a great night.